Poštovani gledalci, gledate još jednu emisiju podcasta MALLIBRK, specijalne edicije HairStyle News. Kao što sam HairStyle News Festival kaže, Love is in the hair, neka to bude sam početak i ovog MALLIBRK podcasta, a danas sa mnom u gostima Alan Austin Smith, inače jedan od engleskih trenutno frizerskih koučeva koji će se takođe naći na sceni HairStyle News Festivala ovde u Opatiji 16. i 17. marta. Alane, dobroveče.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
It is such a great pleasure to be and to have you over here and to have opportunity to talk with you and to share this brilliant experience of yours and brilliant work of your with the world, with Balkan people, not just on this wonderful festival, but for the all people who didn't have a chance to be here but would like to hear a little bit more about you.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know. Well, when I was reading and when I was reading in the details of your work, I was actually fascinated how passionate and how caring you are towards the hairdressing industry. Where all that begins?
Oh, it begins a long time ago because
right.
I'm old now.
Okay, don't be old.
Yeah, old in years, not in heart.
Exactly.
Not in head and heart.
Yeah, exactly.
16 years old.
Okay.
I didn't know what I was going to do in my life, and to be honest, but I had a girlfriend who was a hairdresser.
Okay.
And I just loved being around the industry. It was just fun, and it was so fun, creative, passionate people.
We are different.
And if I'm honest, I also recognized lots of pretty girls everywhere as well. So yeah, that was also nice.
Fair enough.
I was 16. Yeah, but I think when I started, my mum said to me, she said, "If you're going to do it with the best." And in those days, there was nobody else. It was Vidal Sassoon.
Okay.
So I went for my interview and I got the job as an apprentice, as a 16-year-old, and started this journey that I'm now 64, all those years later, and I'm still, I fell in love with this business. I didn't know I wanted to be a hairdresser.
All right.
And I just, I don't know, I thought it'd be fun. When I first came into it, I think like a lot of people, it just looked like fun and it was going to be, and then somewhere along that line, I just fell in love. And I just fell in love with everything, the people, the passion, the creativity, as I said, and the fun, and I've got such wonderful friends. And I think people ask me how, I still have that same passion all these years later.
Okay.
And the passion shifts, it changes.
Right.
And it changes, and my passion now is helping anybody in this industry.
Right.
Whether you be a young person starting, whether you be a stylist, an operator, and beauty as well, with hair or beauty, whether you be a manager, a salon owner, a creative, doesn't matter at what level, we all know how much you can get out of this business. It gives you so much.
Right. When you said right now how much you can get, I was like thinking, well, there is no limit of what we can get.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't just mean financially.
Right.
Financially.
And the creativity, the happiness from people that we make them. It's beautiful, beautiful.
I always say that that what makes this industry,
right.
If you could put it in a bottle, the passion, I call it the smile. It's like when you see the smile in the mirror.
Right.
Yeah. When you've done someone's hair, and you've changed their hair, whether it's the color or the look or the style, and you're maybe blow drying their hair, and you just have a little sneaky look in the mirror to see whether they like it.
Exactly.
And when their face tells you, it doesn't have to be a big smile, but when their face tells you they like it, that's an amazing feeling.
That is the actually reason why I started being a hairdresser, because I'm a naturally people pleaser, and the fact that I can make someone happy every day, couple of times, it just made me fell in love with the industry.
I always say, one of the key things that I talk to particularly young hairdressers about is you really need to understand what your job is, not just what you do every day. but what your job is. And so what you might do every day, especially as a young hairdresser, isn't always fun. You know, you're cleaning or you do, et cetera, et cetera. But when you really understand why you're there, and this is my definition, everybody has their own, this is my definition.
Right.
We make people look and feel fantastic every day.
We are.
What a great job.
We are.
What an amazing job. We make people look and feel fantastic every day. You know, and I can't think of much better jobs than that. You know?
That's beautiful. That brought me to the question. I always like to say when I do the podcast with my colleagues, obviously our podcast is not based only in the hairdressing industry, but in the beauty industry overall.
Yes.
But when I talk specifically with the hairdressers, I always say the hair is the jewelry that the people never take it off.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all these wonderful definitions and understandings. I always talk about that hair is a frame. Your face is the picture.
Exactly.
You know, when I talk to a client,
right?
You know, I say, listen, your face is the picture. My job is to make the frame work.
Right.
Because if you put the wrong frame on a picture, the picture doesn't look as good.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think all these wonderful things. I think, you know, and another thing. I remember, if we go back to where you started, my very first day at Sassoon's. Yeah. And my very first day. And there was 5 of us, because the salon I was in was 5 floors, 90 staff. It was just huge. And 5 of us started that day. So 5 little 16-year-olds, you know, nervous, worried. And we sat down, and the manager of the salon he came down, said hello, whatever. And he stood there, and he was going to do a little bit of an induction, tell us what we were doing. And to this day, all those years later, I can remember this moment, because it was like a little electric shock went through me. He said, "Welcome to the fashion business." And I was like, whoa. He said, because you now work in the fashion industry as a hairdresser. And I was like, I never thought of it like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially in that days, like when we didn't have like a social networks or anything like that.
But we are. You know, we do the hair, and it's, as you say, the jewelry or the frame or however. But it's about making it all work.
Exactly.
You know, everything works. And I think sometimes that's a really interesting sort of shift, I think, for the young, particularly, again, young hairdressers' minds, to recognize I'm not just doing someone's hair. It's everything.
Exactly.
And then when you take it into the emotion and how you're actually impacting on someone. And of course, unfortunately, sometimes the best way to understand that is when it's the wrong way.
Exactly.
You know, when someone isn't happy.
Absolutely.
And then you realize how emotive it is. I sometimes say that the client in front of you, their hair, that client in front is as individual as a thumbprint.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because different length, different thickness, different texture, different color, different etc. But then when you build in the emotion of the insecurity that a woman might feel about her hair, about if I have long hair, fine hair, my hair's too fine, it's too curly, I don't want to look like this, and all these insecurities. And when you build all those things in, and then even you've got other things, it could be that, you know, I'd like to have my hair short, but my husband or my partner thinks it's not feminine. Or there's so many different things that a hairdresser has to understand and take on board. Vivian McKinder has a wonderful video series called Not Just a Hairdresser. And I love that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah? And it's really very much about, you know, and I think sometimes there is that mindset of, you know, I'm just a hairdresser.
Right.
And society does that to us as well. You know, we've all experienced it. But I think we have to overcome that. And it's little things like, I work in the fashion industry. I'm a creative. I make people look and feel fantastic. I touch people. And unfortunately as well, you know, we've all had the client who's going through treatment for cancer, who's losing their hair. It's so far-reaching.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But for me, what this is all about is the way the industry can grow and move forward, and how individuals within the industry can experience that potential.
And how can make it an impact as well.
It comes from their self-belief.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think my job, whatever my whatever it is I'm doing, I might be teaching numbers, profit, I might be teaching marketing, I might be talking customer service. For me, whatever it is I'm talking about, my ultimate responsibility is to help people in this business to understand and to have more self-esteem, more self-belief, more self-confidence, to really grab this business and their job and so on and fly, absolutely fly. And that's what I do.
It's beautiful when you hear out of the someone else mouth and mind as well, from someone else part of the world, that it is very passionate, as you are thinking of myself, and that's why the MALLIBRK podcast, MALLIBRK entire project started to level up the entire beauty industry and to bring something new, bring the passion and everything. So you've been mentioning a couple of things, and I have so many questions in my head right now. But one of the most important thing that I like and I love actually to ask my colleagues, do you think that making a mistake and the mistakes itself is important for you as an individual hairdresser?
I think whether it's as a hairdresser or in life or anything.
Right.
Absolutely. You cannot learn, you cannot grow, you cannot move. I often talk about something I call the success-failure paradox. Okay, and it's a paradox because the more you fear failure, the more you fear making mistakes, etc. The more you fear failure, the more likely you are to fail.
Oh, exactly.
The more you embrace failure, and I don't mean, I always clarify this, I don't mean, I'm not sure how this will translate, but I don't mean sloppy failure.
Oh, I know.
And that is, you didn't do it well, you didn't prepare properly, you didn't do it well, you didn't give your all. I don't mean that. I mean that you gave everything.
Just the things that you didn't expect at the moment to
happen.
happen.
It didn't work, it didn't happen. And because of that, you learn, you grow. But if you fear it, you never do anything.
Oh, absolutely.
And couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. So, thinking of the moment why you are on the festival. This is your second time on the festival, HairStyle News?
No, I've been.
But the last time was 2019 before COVID?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I go back. I've been here when it very first started in Opatija.
Oh, yeah. Okay, beautiful.
And then Rijeka, and then when it moved to Zagreb. So, yeah, we've been friends of this festival for a long time. I love it.
That's beautiful. So, to explain a little bit about your movement and shifts throughout of the industry through the ages. So, one personal question: do you still practice hair?
I have 2 clients.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife.
Okay.
And my ex-wife.
Okay, that's beautiful. So you still got it in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you miss it?
Do I miss it? I think the energy and passion that I used to get in that way, I now get from inspiring.
Oh, definitely,
other people.
Definitely.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I don't miss trimming, as in upkeep.
Okay.
But when my wife recently decided to say, "Hey, I want my hair cut off. I just want to go for a change. I want my hair cut off," and so on. And that's fun, and when it's a dramatic change and you're making a really big change and so on. But then when she says on a Sunday afternoon, "Can you cut my hair because it just needs tidying up?" then it's like, oh. If I'm really honest. But no, if I'm honest, I don't miss it in that sense because I do get my energy and my passion in a different way. But I do love doing a nice haircut. You know when you cut short hair and you just stop and you look back and you look at the head shape and you think, yeah, I did it. Looking really good.
So you are the child of a Vidal Sassoon, right?
Yes.
So growing up, I guess you were watching the full growth of Vidal Sassoon itself?
I had nothing to do with the salon industry till I was 16. And it was literally at 16, as I said, I thought, you know what, this looks like fun.
Okay.
And because of that, I decided to be a hairdresser, and it was only then that my mum said, as I said earlier,
go with the best.
Go with the best. I had no idea. who, yeah. It was a bit embarrassing that, to be honest, that, you know, when I realized what a big deal it was to be working in this environment, you know, the only reason I was there because it was the only name my mum knew, you know.
Okay. Well,
but you know, it was
it was good window to throw you out, right?
Yeah. However, I wasn't there in the 60s, obviously, because otherwise I'd be 10 years older than I am. And it would have been great to have been there in the 60s, but I wouldn't have wanted to be 10 years older than I am now, so that's good.
Which is good.
But I was there in the 70s, and the 70s was really cool with punk and all the different things that were happening with hair. That was an amazing time at Sassoon's.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But, I mean, having from the 70s, 80s, 90s, the Vidal Sassoon, it became a huge deal, right? And it not just the saloons itself, but the academy and everything. It grows so fast. They open a chain of the saloons, and then
absolutely America and Germany, and absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. What made so at this point you kind of switch to another part, which is, I think it comes naturally with the age to just get outside of saloon and start doing education, inspiring other people.
It was actually L'Oreal.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So you started with the L'Oreal.
So L'Oreal. So this was, bear in mind, this was a long time ago. We didn't have influencers. We didn't have ambassadors.
Right.
We didn't have social media followers. So you weren't you're looking at a hairdresser because they had X amount of followers or they had, and so on. I had a profile. I was doing a lot of platform work, a lot of photographic work and media work and so on. And so someone at L'Oreal, I don't know who it was, but someone at L'Oreal UK decided, I guess we were the first ambassadors and influencers in that they recruited 4 hairdressers like myself that actually had a profile.
Okay.
And because in those days there was no influencer, so you didn't become an ambassador. They had to employ you, you know,
right,
and so on. So I got the job, and our role was to go into competitor salons. So if you Wella or whoever, if you're L'Oreal,
right,
to go into a competitor salon and offer them hairdressing training.
Which was named by the Fantastic Hairdresser.
No, that all came later.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
This was all still L'Oreal.
So I'm getting extra details,
no,
right?
This was L'Oreal. And so the idea was that L'Oreal said, no, we want you to go in and say to, let's say, a Wella salon or whoever.
Absolutely.
You know, would you like me to come and do some cutting training? And the salon would go, yeah, but we're not L'Oreal. And we goes, fine, it's okay, yeah. But what that was it was a very clever thing from L'Oreal, because it meant that, you know, we were now talking to Wella salon owners and so on. And that was the original idea. Then I moved into more technical education. I became technical manager for L'Oreal in the UK. And then I moved on again, and I became the business development director for the UK. And that was the shift when I started to realize that what I was talking earlier, that there were so many salon professionals that weren't reaching for the stars, that weren't realizing what they could achieve. And I was loving doing that. And then I thought, you know what, I'm loving this so much. It's what I want to do. So I left L'Oreal and started up the Fantastic Hairdresser.
Right.
That's how that happened.
I figured it differently, but I figured that the Fantastic Hairdresser was actually a project in between you and L'Oreal.
No.
But even better, you did it with yourself.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that just very beginning of the Fantastic Hairdresser? Now, these days, you are author of 3 books, right?
Yep.
Within the Fantastic Hairdresser, right?
Yes.
Within all that project, and that's one of the reasons why you're here, and your success behind all that project, and all the educations and the coaches coaching, the trainings that you are doing. But beginning, was it hard?
Yeah, it was.
Are you afraid?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I gave up. I was moving fast through L'Oreal. It was a good career.
Okay.
And I'd reached quite a high level for my age. And I think if I stayed in that environment, I would have carried on climbing. I don't mean that arrogantly, but I think I would have carried on in that environment. So I was very aware that I was potentially giving up a corporate career. And
Beautiful and secure one, right?
Totally secure, with an expense account and a company car and
Exactly.
and a salary and so on. So yeah, it was really scary. It was very scary. And the most interesting thing was, of course, because anybody I'd been working with previously, and some great names, you know, Trevor Solby or Charles Worthington and Tony and Guy and all these companies that we were connected to. But of course, that was when L'Oreal were picking up the bill almost for those companies. Now they would have to pay me direct. And of course they were going, Alan, we think you're great, but we didn't have to pay before. Now we have to pay you. I was like, yeah.
That's why I'm independent right now.
And so on. And that was the first challenge to overcome. But I decided, when we talk about fear, and putting yourself out there, I decided my strategy was a really risky strategy. So I decided that rather than at that stage, there was a competitor that was already in the arena, that was already doing it, but they were very much focusing on struggling businesses.
Okay.
Yeah? So you're struggling, let us help you. Makes sense. Yeah. But I thought if I do that, I'm going to be going head to head with them. And I've always believed that, you know, and it's something I teach all the time, and if anybody's listening to this, please take this on. What makes you different? What makes you, if you're the same as every other salon professional out there, you know, why would, I always say if a salon employs 5 stylists, yeah, I mean, obviously some employ much more than that, but if we just say a salon employs 5 stylists, and there's 10 salons in the town, that's 50 hairdressers, individual stylists that a client can choose from. Why would they choose you? What makes you different?
Unique.
What makes you stand out? And I've always believed that you have to have something. And I thought, if I just do what these guys are doing, I'm no different. I'm the same. And it becomes, I need to separate. So I focused on already successful businesses. And so I was talking to Guy Kremer, Sean Hanna, Trevor Sorby, Charles Worthington, etc., Tony and Guy, and whatever. And I was talking to these guys.
So you were saying it was, sorry for interrupting, but you were saying it was kind of a risky because you were coming to the person, to the people, hairdressers, that they are already kind of developed their own vision and everything, saying, listen, you can do it better.
They were saying to me, Alan, look, thank you, but we're very successful. You know, we're very successful. And I would say, every time I say, yeah, of course you are. I just don't think you're as successful as you could be. And they would like, okay. And then I said, let me show you. And I would start to show them some things. And then they'll go, okay. And then I would start working with them. And so actually my first customer base was a really high-end, very successful customer base. And what that did was it made people really go, hey, there's something about this guy, because he's working with all these big brands.
Right.
Now, obviously, we work with loads of businesses that are normal businesses, you know, and so on. But it was a very risky strategy and a very scary strategy, because it could, you know, what if I couldn't improve their businesses?
Oh,
That would be the end.
Because you're already having the figures, you're already having the numbers, and you have to pull them up.
Yeah, and so that was definitely risky, definitely scary. Within a year, it was starting to roll, and then after 2 more years, I wrote the first book, the Fantastic Hairdresser book.
Beautiful artwork.
Thank you. And the reason I wrote that book was I felt there needed to be something, that I didn't think there was anything that an educator or a manager, a salon owner, could give a young person. And that's how it started. Now, it's much more than that. It's not just for young people, but that was the original idea.
Exactly.
Was to say to someone, look, I can teach you how to do the hair, but what about the other stuff? You know,
there's so much more.
The foundation of the Fantastic Hairdresser, I always say it's the foundation stone. It's something that I call the 50% rule. And the 50% rule, by the way, applies to any job. Doesn't matter.
Right.
But this is what I say. 50% of what makes you fantastic at your job, and now the word fantastic isn't just a marketing word. It means better than good. Good is not enough.
Right.
Those 50 hairdressers, for example, or 100 hairdressers in a town, or 1,000, and if you're a city,
They're
whatever, they're good. How do you become fantastic? What steps you out from that crowd? And so for me, it was like looking at that, what is it that makes that difference? And I say 50% of what makes someone fantastic at their job has got nothing to do with their job. So let's look at it from a salon professional. What I'm saying is that 50% of what makes you a fantastic hairdresser has got nothing to do with a pair of scissors or a tint brush. Now, 50% has. See, sometimes people say to me, Alan, I agree with you. But I think it's more than 50. No. You do that, you diminish hair. Yeah? What I'm saying is 50% of what makes you fantastic is great skill.
Right.
Yeah?
You have to have it.
You've got to have
Perfect.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
However, if that's all you have, however great it is,
there is no another 50%.
You'll only ever be good. It's the other 50% of your communication skills, your confidence, your self-belief,
uniqueness.
Your management skills, self-management, motivation, your customer service, all of those other things make up the other 50%. Exactly. And it's those two things really that come together. Now, I felt that there was nothing to help a salon owner or an educator teach that other stuff in a formal way to a young person.
Right.
There was loads of stuff to teach skills, but not the other 50%.
Right.
In fact, I often say that if you agree with my 50% rule, then the question I always have for the industry is, are we actually only teaching young hairdressers to do half their job? Because actually we're really good at teaching 50% skill.
Right.
But what about the other 50%? And that was why I wrote the Fantastic Hairdresser book. That's where it started, but of course it became much bigger than that.
Right. Then it came out the second book, the Fantastic Boss, and then the Fantastic Salon.
Yes, and they were really, when it was moving in, the success of that, people were saying, could you make it more leadership and so on. By the way, can I just say something about the two books that's really, really close to my heart being here today?
Please.
We all know Dennis.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The brainchild behind all of this.
Absolutely.
He came to me and said, I want to buy the license. I want to translate the books into Croatian, print them, etc. Now, there's the fee, the license fee. There's the cost of translation, and then there's as you say, it's full color book. They're not cheap to print. Yeah?
Right.
So having done all of that, I'm like, why? The passion that man has for this industry, to make a commitment like that. I said, why would you do that? And he said, because I want Croatian hairdressers to be able to touch this, to be able to use this. And when because it's in English, some won't and can't. He said, I want them to have that opportunity. And I just think that's amazing.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful job that he did. I actually didn't know when we were talking about this collaboration that we made. And when I said that you are coming, I was like, may I please have you on the chair behind me, actually in front of me and behind me, in front of me, and just have you talk about the fantastic job that you are doing it, because I think that you are a person who has a hairdresser and a colleague, and you can name it, in the industry, that it has a very powerful impact in your voice, that it can inspire other people, and I could not be more happier having you here, and to spread the word. And we are already working on the translation and everything, so they can do it. But when I heard that Dennis actually translated the book, I didn't know. It was a great opportunity for me to maybe even got in a collaboration with the new books, and then for the people who are very interested, maybe get linked to it, because it's a great stuff. It's something that everyone should read it, which is in the industry, because it's very applicable at the estheticians, at the nail techs, at the PMU eyebrowists, and to whomever in the business.
I always say, you just take the word hairdresser out. Yeah?
Right.
Just take the word hairdresser out, and it's fantastic anything,
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes we get a salon owner perhaps who will bring their partner on a course, and their partner is a plumber or an electrician or
The
whatever.
fantastic electrician.
Yeah, and
right.
they're sort of like, I'm not really sure why I'm here with all these hairdressers. But at the end, they come up and they go, oh my God, it was so relevant to me still.
Right.
And it's the same principles.
So you are having in this on this festival, you are going to have a very nice breakfast with Alan. Is it? I like to call it breakfast, but it's a very nice chat that just a specific part of the hairdressers who actually you wanted to build a small group and to talk with them.
We're doing two things. We're doing one on the main stage,
Right.
Which is a little bit like this,
Right.
but also a presentation.
Right.
And then we've got a small, nice group where I can really get in
Into
and
it.
do some teaching.
Right.
And that is very much about something I call the profit elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you know the term "the elephant in the room."
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. Well, the industry, there's no getting out of it. The industry has lots of things happening at the moment, right across wherever you are, whether it's recruiting young people into the industry, there's lots of issues in different things, pricing, rising costs, so on. And I'm saying, look, guys, all of these issues boil down to one thing, and that is that salons aren't profitable enough to reinvest into their business and to spend money into their business and to themselves, obviously, for a salon owner to benefit, but to reinvest.
Right.
And that is the one thing that has to change. And so I call it passionate profit.
Right.
Because a lot of times I think in a creative industry, and I see this all the time, that there's a fear that if I become profit-focused, I will lose my passion and my creativity.
Which is not true.
And that's not the case.
Exactly.
And so what I'm doing in that session is I really want to show how you can have that balance. Keep your passion, keep your creativity, but still be profitable. And they actually fuel each other, because when you're not profitable, the salon owner starts to get fed up and depressed, and then they lose their mojo, and then they lose the passion, and it all starts to spiral down. But when it's profitable, it spirals up because you're reinvesting and you're having fun.
Well, it's actually, for the end, it's a beautiful message. Profit doesn't need to mean that it's a less passion.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for
we
having
won't
me.
let them all the information that you are having it. They have to learn and they have to find you in some way. Of course, we will be with the MALLIBRK project every single day. Those 2 days we're gonna be shooting and everything. So I hope that we're gonna step by and record at least one little tiny minute of your beautiful energy and that kind of a collaboration that you are having and doing with every single hairdresser that you are doing it. Thank you so much for talking for a MALLIBRK podcast, and I hope we're gonna see each other soon. And I hope this is only a beginning of a great collaborations, right?
Thank you, and well done with what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. I really do appreciate. Thank you one more time.
Thank you.
Dragi gledalci, ovo je bio Alan i nadam se da ste uživali u ovom prekrasnom razgovoru. Vidimo se za par dana sa još nekim specijalnim gostom. A do tada brinuti u svojoj kosi i uživajte do sljedećeg viđenja. Pozdrav!